In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
You're listening to K98Talk.com, the way Internet radio should be.
Attention, radio is about to begin.
Please return your Republic to its original position and prepare for takeoff.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Good evening. Happy Thursday. It's almost Friday. Welcome to the Reddest Hour on radio. My name is Lou.
I'm Jared. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks so much, everyone, for being here. This is the show that's all about you, your show. So enter your questions in the chat room tonight. We've got Gene Berardelli. He is the host of Behind Enemy Lines. Should be pretty interesting. He's quite a wonk. We're going to talk about the 2016 election, some of the people in the race and who he thinks is interesting, a little bit about Mark Meadows and his motion to vacate the chair. Boom! You guys gave it to him really good. And we're going to shout out to PJNet for giving us a little bit of help, but just on the spur of the moment, you guys jumped in and got on that page, and I know you've probably been on it today, but that was about the quickest turnaround and the most amazing thing that I've ever seen. You guys were all over it, and we trended Red Nation Rising with those hashtags for Mark Meadows at 7 o'clock on Twitter. So it's hard for us to make more noise than we do on a regular basis. So good job. We want to give some shout outs tonight. First one is to our Red Nation Rising account in South Carolina. Man, can you make some cool vines. And if you think that the Planned Parenthood videos are bad, you should check out our timeline and see what it looks like when you take one of the very worst moments out of one and put it on a 7-second loop and loop it over and over and over again. Because what she says in this one well, I'm not even going to say it. I can't say it out loud. I can hardly even watch them, but it's a great vine, and there's been Boehner vines and Hillary vines and Liberty vines, and amazing work that you're doing in South Carolina. Also want to shout out to RNR New Mexico. We had Texas and some others tell us about this as well, but looks like Planned Parenthood is getting investigated in Texas. So shout out to the state of Texas once again, and thank you, New Mexico, for throwing that our way and letting us know about that. So if you can't get it done anywhere else, maybe you can get it done in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and retweet from Alabama that asking the United Way how many of his supporters know and donors know that they donate to Planned Parenthood. Now, United Way has been doing this for a long time, and they've been doing it in Alabama for at least 20 years, I believe, somewhere around there.
And, they're trying to get off the list of donors, and what was it? Linda, PJ Strikeforce, tweeted, show us you've stopped giving them money before we believe, you've been you're off the list. Getting off a list doesn't matter. So
yeah, people in Alabama have been giving them a hard time about this for years, and I have some professional connections to this particular issue, and it is a big issue for them. And here in the Triangle, they do not give to Planned Parenthood, and one of the reasons is no one would do their employee giving program, which is their biggest donation program of the year, because of that relationship, and they stopped giving to them here. So it's a really good point to bring up. It's one that should be driven home, especially in Alabama, because it's been, 2 decades of people there trying to get United Way to pay attention to this. And good job for taking an opportunity. The Red Nation Rising Virginia account retweeted from Jim Treacher that they could not get their lies straight at Planned Parenthood because, and apologies for this being about all about Planned Parenthood, but it's just the news. They've actually taken over the Donald this week, which is amazing. But their hack wasn't really a hack at all.
Yeah, they hacked their own site, most likely. That's my bet.
Yeah, a PR stunt. And when you do this kind of thing, when you're in PR, you ruin your reputation. You pretty much make yourself, as a PR firm, a pariah in the industry. So if Knickerbocker, their new PR firm, had anything to do with this fake hack, they're toast.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about a long-standing, very reputable PR firm ruining their reputation potentially for Planned Parenthood. I mean, talk about that they care absolutely nothing about anybody but themselves and their own pockets.
Yep,
and why should any of us be surprised by that? So before we go into this break, I want to let you know JD and Stacy are up after us. We'll be going into a quick break for 2 minutes, and we will be back with Gene Berardelli of Behind Enemy Lines. We'll see y'all in 2.
This is JD.
And this is Stacy.
Join us Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern for Game On. Remember,
lock up the children and the old folks.
Game On, the home of liberty conservatism.
Where no one is safe and no one is spared, not even the hosts.
Oh, that was supposed to be a spin cycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We love you anyway. Right round, baby.
Self-monitoring
right
Ebola
anyway.
radio strikes again.
Anyway.
Anybody see the host monkey?
Today.
Where's the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? For God's sake, I need an antidote. Just do your rant. Let's pop out of the segment.
Has to do with
Find us on Twitter at JD and Stacy.
You're listening to K98Talk.com. The staff of K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network is proud to announce that our very own Rowdy Rick Robinson has been selected as one of the top conservative talk show hosts in the nation for his program America Off the Rails. Again, congratulations to Rowdy Rick Robinson for a job well done and another reason to stay connected to K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
This group of tyrants wants to disarm us. They want to deny you and me our freedoms guaranteed under the Constitution of the United States. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Keep your hands off our guns, damn it. My fellow patriots, I've had it, and I'm tired of seeing the Second Amendment treated like the bastard child of the Bill of Rights. All of you have to know that defending freedom is going to be a fight that has no end. And if you're going to stand with me, you can't be afraid to get your knuckles bloody. If you're going to stand with me, you have to be willing to resist any attempt by government to disarm law-abiding people by fighting with the ferociousness of a junkyard dog. Thank you. God bless you, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you very much.
And we are back with Gene Berardelli. I got to tell you, as a Georgia girl, I just love to hear that junkyard dog comment. Every time I hear it, I'm going to give them a shout. Go Dogs. Welcome, Gene. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, good. Is he breaking up on your end, Jared?
Yeah, he's broken up.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're breaking up a little bit, though. But you know what? We are tough, so we can make it through.
Okay, you know what? I'm connected to my interwebs here at my house. Let me switch over to my connection, and maybe that'll be better. Hang on 1 second.
Okay, you're sounding better already.
Yeah, he's sounding better.
All right, we'll try this. Is this a little better?
Yeah, that's it. Am I at the eye doctor? Is it better A or B?
All right, I can't hear anybody at all now.
Okay, I've lost. We're gonna play another quick break till we get a good connection with Gene. So hang with us for a second here, and we'll be right back with you.
K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level, or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com.
Wondering why you're up early with us on a Sunday morning making a cocktail? News lately got you drinking? Hung over from the mainstream media by Sunday? We are, and we got you covered.
We sure do. We got your hangover cure for those weekly news blues. So sit back, top off your mimosa, and add some Baileys to that coffee.
Take a match to your copy of the New York Times. Light, funny, and oh yeah, news with booze.
And a lot of laughter.
Welcome to Bloody Marys and Broadsheets.
Abolish the IRS. Take all 125,000 IRS agents and put them on our southern border.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride. Both ends of the ozone burning. Funny how the world keeps turning. Look, Mom, no hands. I love this American ride. Gotta love this American.
Oh.
Gotta love this American ride. Boy, you don't get it right the first time. Cut to break and come back. Hey, Gene, are you with us?
I am with you. I'm telling you, it's a left-wing conspiracy.
It is. It's the NSA hacking us, doggone it. So, how are you tonight? We're so glad to have you here.
Well, I'm doing a lot better now that I can hear your voice. It's a muggy night here in the People's Republic of New York City, but I'm glad to be with you guys.
Hey, come down south for a while. You want to feel muggy, my friend. But I love the city. I got to tell you, I love the city. Even, Southern girls love the city. What's not to love? So, can I just tell you before we get started, your Sharpton bloopers are fabulous. I
can't take credit for them. I didn't make them. I just found them.
He made them.
The Washington Free Beacon made them. They have a whole bunch of different compilations that are on YouTube. And we always give them credit during our show for making them. I can't take credit for all that work. The Washington Free Beacon did a great job putting it together. I just like delivering it to the people.
Well, shout out to the Free Beacon. But I have to say that it's the Reverend that does all the work because he has to work hard at that. He can't do it by accident. He's
the gift that keeps on giving, isn't he?
He definitely is. Now, if you haven't heard him, go to the Washington Free Beacon, look him up, because if you're having a bad day and you need a little pick-me-up, these will definitely pick you up. I was just falling out on the floor laughing. My husband thought that there was something wrong with me. So let's get serious for just a minute, or just not too serious, but a little bit serious. You're watching the 2016 GOP primary. It's not even a horse race anymore. It's bigger than a horse race. It's like two football teams.
It's the New York City Marathon, is what it is.
That's a good one.
And by the way, let me take this opportunity to let your listeners know. No, I am not running for president. You can cross me off the list. I'm sure there's another 1,500 people right behind me that want to step up, but I will not be one of them.
Well, we certainly had an interesting announcement today, but tell me overall. Give us your assessment a little bit overall.
Well, I mean, it's so early to tell what's going on and who's got what upper hand. I remember back in 2012, we used to call it the flavor of the month. Who's got the advantage now for this month before they get torn down by either the liberal media or they make what we call an unforced error and just do something stupid? At this point, you can't win the race, but you can definitely lose the race if you do something dumb.
Absolutely. That's very true. And my theory is that if the Donald really has a purpose in mind that he thinks is going to be favorable to the GOP, it's to take all that attention that would be tearing down all of those other people away for a while, so they don't have quite as much time to tear those people down. It's working.
It's working, but I gotta just say this out loud, just so that I can hear myself say it. Trump's not a conservative.
No,
he has some conservative leanings, but Trump is a Trump-servative. He will serve himself before he serves anybody else.
That's a good word, a Trump-servative. Stacey Lennox and I call them Trumpkins. That you can and we have a lot of people that support Trump. In our groups, and I don't not support Trump. I've always not liked the Donald. Does that make sense? I've never loved the Donald, but I've never disliked the Donald either. I just think he's
like that relative. He's like that relative that comes over your house and you have to tolerate him a little bit, but every now and then he'll do something good.
Yeah. Every now and then he'll do something great, and you'll really love it. I don't think he deserves some of the heat that he's gotten from the left. Certainly, the heat he's gotten from the right, he probably deserves. He probably asks for that.
Donald Trump is a flashpoint. He's a lightning rod. That's what he's always been throughout his entire life. Living in New York City and seeing a lot of what makes Trump tick up close, it's always an entertaining show. But every now and then, every 10 statements, you'll get one good one that you can latch onto that will renew your faith in Donald Trump. And I think that's what people are seeing now. It resonates with people that, hey, I've been sick and tired of government for the past 8 years. Donald's saying everything I've wanted people to say for the past 8 years, but we're too afraid to say it. And now, look, they're going after him just like government has kind of gone after me. So it resonates with people.
He's definitely resonating. Let's talk about somebody else because we don't want to make it all about the Donald. He's getting plenty of media. So who else do you like? Who are the real conservatives? And I've been really disappointed in the past 4 or 8 years in some people that I thought were really conservative. I thought they would do the right things, and then they're doing some really stupid things with some of the Obama policies. Who do you see as being like the most conservative in the race?
Well, if you're looking for the most conservative right now, I got to think it's Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is basically trying to burn every bridge with the establishment that he has right now. And listen, it's a good move because it's a populist move for him. It's probably the only move he has to make right now. Because, let's face it, from day one of his announcement, he is never going to get establishment support. He's never going to get establishment money. So he's got to find other ways to keep his campaign going. And the way you do it is he's going to burn the sucker down. And in one way, you got to respect it. But in another way, you got to feel like it's also a gamesmanship on his part, too. But if you're looking for the most conservative choice, he's probably it.
Really? So do you think that he's more conservative than Scott Walker?
Scott Walker has some check marks in the conservative column, but he doesn't have all the check marks. Scott Walker, he seems, listen, when it comes to labor issues and taking on the unions, fantastic job. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's probably the most battle-tested candidate out there, dealing with 3 elections, including the recall. But he doesn't check every box, and his campaign seems to be putting out the word of, well, we're going to play conservative for a while, but we're going to be very easily going to be able to move to the center when we need to for the general. Comments like that give conservatives and grassroots people a little bit of the jitters.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. He's been a little wishy-washy on Common Core, and Common Core is something that our audience cares a lot about. So Walker's been a little bit wishy-washy on that. And Kasich is very pro-Common Core. So he lost our audience, I think, with that completely. But I'm not sure he's the contender.
Well, at this point, he may be a contender if he is able to get the 2 things that every campaign needs, money and people. Right. That's what it's all about for everybody right now. It's a scramble for money and people. That's why Jeb is such a formidable candidate right now, because he's got the money and he's got the people. He could probably already say that he has a 50-state operation right now. No other candidate, I don't think, can really say that. But back to Kasich, I did an interview recently with Matt Schlapp from the American Conservative Union, and he seems to believe that Kasich is a near perfect candidate when it comes to what a conservative is. So, again, it all depends on your definition of conservative that you're going with this week. If Common Core is in your definition, probably doesn't fit the bill. But if, bucking the system and fighting with your own party and trying to do what you think is right does fit in the system, maybe he fits in this week.
Yeah, I get that. I see where you're coming from, because it is really kind of about the issues that you care about. Like I said, because our audience is very anti-Common Core, so they're not big fans of Kasich, I don't think, for that reason, because he's been so vocally supportive of it. Now, a weird announcement today from Gilmore. Did you see that one coming?
One of my Karnak? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I got nothing. No, in all seriousness, I remember he did come to a meeting of some very high-rolling donors last year here in New York City. So he's always tried to stay on the map. But, did you see George Pataki running? It's the same kind of question. They're coming out of the woodwork right now.
Well, and you know what I think? You tell me what you think about this, Gene. I call it an old yellow dog year. And it's much like Carter in 76 or Reagan in 1980. You could run an old yellow dog against a Democrat and they'd probably win the race, because everybody is so angry and things are so messed up under 8 years of a Democrat administration. Is that why they're...
I think that a lot of people are seeing that this is their shot. because it was such a horrendous, soon to be 8 years under President Obama. And I think that they may be feeling that they can carve out their niche. There's many different theories why people can be running right now. Some people could be running for vice president by running a presidential campaign. Some people can be running for Secretary of State for running a presidential campaign right now. They could have their reasons. You may see a couple of one-issue candidates out there that they may be auditioning for some other office other than the President of the United States.
Well, I think that's absolutely true, and we've seen that in the past, but I think we might be seeing more of it this year because there's just so doggone many of them. I don't think we're done. Who's going to be next? Who's going to announce next, do you think?
Well, let's see. I'm out.
Pluto, Goofy.
You're out, right? So
right, I'm out. Yeah.
That's 2 down. You know what? It could be just about anybody. I mean, for all we know, there could be a Republican that we haven't heard of in a very long time. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a Romney or a Ryan or a Giuliani or any of the names that we've heard in the past. I don't think it's going to be anybody like that. Mike Lee said he's not running. So your guess is as good as mine at this point. Yeah. I'm kind of hoping we've seen the end. I don't want to reach 20.
No.
That'll be just too much.
Yeah. I hope we're done too, Gene. I really do. I hope we're done. I hope this is it. Let's put a lid on it. Now, they've figured out, and I don't know how they did it, Gene, but somehow the chat room has figured out that you're from New York. They actually know you're in Brooklyn. I don't know. No idea. It's they're really smart people, actually. So we've got some New York questions from you from the chat room. These are really good.
Awesome. Let's bring it on.
CVP, we call her, Conservative Voice of the People. How can you deal with Bill de Blasio? Has New York City become as rundown as they say? And what changes have you seen in crime, if any?
Okay, well, the first part of the question, how do you deal with Bill de Blasio? I prefer Jack Daniels. That's the way you get through the day with Bill de Blasio. Listen, I mean, have things changed for the worse? Yeah, some things have changed for the worse. The first and biggest thing is that morale amongst the NYPD down very much because throughout de Blasio's campaign, or as I like to call him Warren Wilhelm. People don't know this. His birth name is Warren Wilhelm, but he changed it to Bill de Blasio. Actually, he made another name change before that, before becoming Bill de Blasio, because a name like Warren Wilhelm would not play well with Jewish voters in the People's Republic of New York City here. But Wilhelm over here campaigned basically on the backs of the police, and he decided that the way he wanted to get elected was to play this Tale of Two Cities narrative. And he blamed the police, who were doing a great job under Ray Kelly, the police commissioner at the time. And morale just went downhill. And then the whole controversy with telling his son that he's got to watch out when acting around the police made it even worse. And that relationship's still not healed. The good thing about Bill de Blasio is that he's never in New York City. He's always campaigning around somewhere else, giving some middling speech because he thinks he's a national candidate for something in the future, but he's definitely not. And it's causing friction within his own party here in New York. Andrew Cuomo can't stand him here.
Well, it doesn't play well with the borough presidents either when the mayor's not in town. Right?
The borough presidents right now are just glorified figureheads. They really don't have any power other than ceremonial and, I'm going to do a ribbon cutting here and there. What gets people mad is that he thinks, excuse my language, who the hell he is. And he tries to force his agenda on people, and when he can't get it, he throws a hissy fit. And even when he gets a little something, I mean, his latest battle with Uber, the perfect example, trying to cap the way that Uber operates here in New York. And the city council actually made a compromise with Uber, and then he took credit for the compromise, and that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. So, I mean, the man is he just doesn't understand. He may understand far left politics, but he doesn't understand the politics of governing.
Well, there's getting elected and then there's governing, right? Two totally different things.
Absolutely, but he's rubbing so many people the wrong way. I mean, he refuses to endorse Hillary Clinton because I think he's waiting to see if he could be the far left alternative to Hillary. Don't believe the hype when it comes to him, but he's thinking that he may have a run in him if needed. If there's a room for an alternative on the left, He thinks he could be the solution. I don't know what the man is smoking. I really don't. But the city isn't burning like it was in the 70s, but it's definitely starting to smolder a little bit.
Right, and it's been probably a good 6 to 9 months since I've been there, but I could see a little, probably maybe 6 months after he was elected, a little bit of the old city coming back. It was a little bit disturbing. So, yeah, and it's sad if you love the city, even if you're not from there, but you love the city. It's sad to watch it change back because it made so much progress. New York City had made so much progress, so much nicer place to go and visit, and it's sad to think of it going backwards. So,
and where did the progress come from? Progress came from 20 years of center-right to right leadership from the mayor's office, from Rudy Giuliani. And, say what you want about Mike Bloomberg, the Democrat turned Republican turned independent turned gun control nut now. But there were many policies and procedures brought up, like the 311 system that we now have in New York, and the continuing of Mayor Giuliani's quality of life enforcement that kept the city on the right path through 9/11 and beyond throughout Mayor Bloomberg's entire term.
Right, and he was smart enough. That's the thing about Bloomberg, is he was smart enough to know to keep the city going, to stay popular, to keep things right. He needed to keep those policies. But De Blasio, on the other hand,
De Blasio runs it like a bank account.
Oh, that is brilliant, Gene. Yeah, I mean, I can totally see that. So he's, really kind of sucking money out. Got another question I'm going to ask you, but we might have to cut to break before you answer it. So you're going to get a chance to think about this one before you actually answer it. So, well, actually, let me ask you this one because it's just funny. With Hillary's headquarters located in Brooklyn, so close to you, how have you not stood outside and thrown spoiled cabbage at it?
Oh, well, because it's really high up on the 20th floor or whatever in this building, so I really don't have the arm reach to kind of get up there.
Well, we'll have to send you a catapult. If we send you a catapult, will you toss rotten cabbage at it?
A catapult or one of those extendo ladder things that construction people have that you can kind of go up, or maybe a window washer kit. We'll see.
Okay, that sounds good. So I think we're going to cut to break right here for a couple of minutes, and we'll be back with Gene Berardelli with another serious question, even though I really loved that one. That was one of my favorites. So we're going to cut to break. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely.
Are you conservative in a world of liberal?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not alone. Hey, I'm Daniel Stafford, host of the Stafford Voice, and I'd like to invite you to tune in each Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern, where I'll break down the events of the week, and together we'll learn about how they affect you. So, sit back and get ready for the good, the bad, and the ugly of talk radio right here on K98 Talk.
K98Talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98Talk.com.
This is JD.
And this is Stacy.
Join us Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern for Game On. Remember,
lock up the children and the old folks.
Game On, the home of conservative conservatism.
Where no one is safe and no one is spared. Not even the hosts.
Oh, that was supposed to be a spin cycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We love you anyway. Right round, baby.
Self-monitoring
right
Ebola
anyway.
radio strikes again.
Anyway.
Anybody see the host monkey?
Today.
Where's the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? For God's sake, I need an antidote. Just do your rant. Let's pop out of the segment.
Has to do with
Find us on Twitter at JD and Stacy.
You're listening to K98Talk.com. The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Say it again.
Back, Gene Berardelli. Now, obviously, Esposito, I'm not Italian. I earned my Italian name over the last 20 years being married to an Italian, but I'm getting your name right, aren't I, Berardelli?
Perfectly right. Absolutely. I'm actually very impressed that you can get that name right.
Hey, well, I mean, 20 years with an Italian, and his grandmother's maiden name was Camici. I would tell you how to spell it, but it'd blow your mind. It's an old Italian name. You might have seen it.
Wow, 20 years with an Italian male. You probably could have committed murder and been out already, and it would have been an easier time.
Yeah, well, I tell him all the time that he's got to go. And he knows what that means. Yeah, like Tony Soprano. You got to go. But yeah. So no, it's been a lot of fun. There are no funner families in the world than Italian families. No offense to anyone else, but we're getting some great questions.
It's all fun and games until the wooden spoon comes out.
That is so true. So I know that I had a couple of questions for you, but we're getting a lot of questions for you out of the chat room. So I wanted to try to get through these first because
that's fantastic. And listen, I just want to shout out to the chat room. I'm sorry I can't be in there right now, but I had to rush home to get on air with you. But everybody in the chat, you guys rock, man. To come on to a show like this and to participate, that's awesome. Thanks a lot for doing that.
They're really great, and they love to ask questions. So Jim would like to know, with so many people from Russia and New York City, especially Brooklyn, who escaped communism, how did de Blasio ever get elected in that city?
You have to remember that New York City, the reason why we call it the People's Republic of New York City, is that enrollment-wise, Republicans are dominated to the tune of 8 Democrats to every 1 Republican. So while Southern Brooklyn has had a sort of a renaissance with the Russian American community and a lot of first-generation Russian immigrants that remember Perestroika and Glasnost and fondly remember Ronald Reagan, they can vote in the federal elections. They vote very conservative. But they're also a lower to middle class population. So when it comes to city elections, municipal elections, state elections, they're voting for the social services that they need. So they are voting Democrat for that as well. But, in my neighborhood, it's a little better than the average. But there are areas in New York City where there are 20 Democrats to 1 Republican. And part of the reason for that also is, and not to go too long on this question, is that New York is what you call a fusion state. That means there are a million political parties here, and each one can cross-endorse another one's candidates. So you have not only a Republican Party here in New York, but you have a conservative party, which is kind of like the tail that wags the dog here in New York. And now, just this past election cycle for the gubernatorial, we have a Reform Party, which is right-leaning. So you really have to build a coalition if you want to be a Republican, not only amongst, getting the Reagan coalition going, or in New York, the Giuliani coalition, but you also have to cobble together all the conservative factions. And, I have a saying here when it comes to conservative politics in New York, everybody wants to be king of the anthill. They all want to control their little breadcrumbs, but everyone's losing out on the bigger picture.
Yeah, that's very astute, I think. And I have a joke, or a riddle, from Jim as well. What did Donald Manus and Henry VIII have in common?
Oh, I'm stumped on that one. What do they have in common?
They both screwed queens.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah. Jim, I'm pretty sure Jim is from Long Island or has family on Long Island. He might be from Brooklyn.
Yes.
I might have just really made him mad at me because I said Long Island when he's really from Brooklyn. But at any rate, Illinois has 3 questions. So what do you think? There's any way that Obama is going to finagle this so he can get a third term out of it.
Finagle.
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, it would
That's
be
a
quite
word. That's a word.
Yeah.
No, there's no way he's going to be able to do that. You would need a constitutional amendment to the constitutional amendment, and there's no way that's getting passed. There's not enough time, and there's no votes for it. So no,
I know,
it's not happening.
and thank God for that, right? And Bernie Sanders, really?
A Brooklyn Jew. I mean, you're talking about my people now. Bernie Sanders is, you know what? If he's the alternative to Hillary, I'll take it right now, because I can't think of a Republican that can't beat Bernie Sanders. I mean, Bernie Sanders is to the left of Mao. So why not? Yeah, listen, if the Democrats are dumb enough to vote for Bernie Sanders over Hillary Clinton, beautiful. I love it. That's a win.
I know, really, because you talk about an old yellow dog year, he would be worse than Mondale.
Oh, that's an old blue dog right there.
Right. Well, there you go. So the other one was, do you think anyone, Donald or anyone else, will run third party if they don't get the nomination?
Ooh, gosh, I hope not. I really hope that Donald Trump does not run third party. I don't hope anybody runs third party, because that would be the perfect way to muck everything, and it would guarantee a liberal win. It's just not smart to do. First of all, it's a lot of money for someone to do that. Second of all, there's going to be votes pulled away from somebody. And at that point will be 7.5 years of Obama. You know the votes are going to be pulled from conservatives, because they're going to be disgruntled conservatives that are going to be catered to by a third party. Mm-hmm. And you need that coalition between the establishment and Tea Party and the grassroots. Listen, I like to think of myself as a grassroots guy. I have a little bit of a libertarian streak, but I also recognize that it's pieces to a puzzle. The grassroots have the people power, the populist movement. The establishment has the money needed to make that engine go. You kind of need both working together as best as you can. It will never be a smooth relationship, but you got to have some relationship there.
Right.
And a party will be the wrench in that machine.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. I mean, I'm old enough to remember Ross Perot, right? So, and what came from Ross Perot? Bill Clinton. So,
Admiral Stock.
Right. I know, exactly. Here's a great comment that I have to read you because it's from my buddy here in North Carolina. She thinks that the only safe haven for illegal immigrants should be Washington, D.C. And then they're all there.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I mean, well, listen, I live in a sanctuary city. In fact, we were talking about Bill de Blasio earlier. He signed into law a $50 million program to create municipal IDs that illegal immigrants would be able to obtain so that they can partake in city services. And there's a bill currently pending right now in the city council to allow illegal immigrants to vote in municipal elections. It's a world gone mad. It's the most ludicrous thing I can think of. How could you have someone who's here contrary to law? We are a nation of laws, but yet they're here contrary to law, picking the political leaders of our time and actually having a say when they don't deserve to have a say. They haven't earned the right to have a say. And that's really the key to dealing with liberals and arguing with them.
Right, absolutely.
It's about giving, it's about earning.
Right, yes, or taking. So it's giving and taking on one side versus earning on the other side. And sometimes they just don't get it. I don't understand. It's very frustrating.
Well, the liberal brain is a twisted rabbit hole that many people have gotten lost in. So I think you should pride yourself on not understanding it.
I think that's a really good way to put it. So, but somebody, Angela, our question monitor, actually agrees with you that's why we have trouble winning, and why often they say that we can snatch defeat from the jaws of victory because there are so many factions and we turn on each other. And we've got to stop doing that. There's a point where you debate, and then there's a point where you come together, because the alternative is, as we've seen over the last 8 years, downright scary. So CVP, Conservative Voice, has another question about Trump. This is the last Trump question, you guys. You enter another Trump question, I'm not asking it. Do you think that he'll drop out and back another candidate? And if so, who? And what's up with him praising Sarah Palin?
Well, I think he's praising Sarah Palin. I think that's part of the headline grabbing that Trump does, and I think that appeals to the populist base that's out there. Sarah Palin is still beloved by very many people, and they want, many people want a return of Sarah. I mean, the Sarah PAC was very pivotal in the 2014 elections, and they gave a lot of money, and there's a force there. There's definitely something there. As far as will he drop out, I think eventually he will. Yeah. There's been some talks that he has met with Ted Cruz and the conspiracy theorists among us. I mean, okay, everybody put on your tinfoil hat. I'll wait. Good. The conspiracy theories out there is that if and when Trump drops out, he will be the money force behind a Ted Cruz run. Obviously, he's not going to go with anybody who's considered establishment or anybody who's really considered hybrid. But he'll back someone like a Ted Cruz who will continue the plain talk that he started.
Yeah, and I did hear that they had met as well. I did find one comment that I wanted, and I don't even know who entered this, but I think that you'll think it's funny. De Blasio needs a big gulp and a muzzle.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, that was the whole run started by Bloomberg of trying to get large soft drinks off the shelves in New York. Exactly. And it took a judge that I have been before in New York City to rein that in and actually follow the rule of law. So that was struck down. That's not happening anytime soon. But just to go back a second to something that somebody said earlier about factions and the infighting. We have ourselves to blame for that because we, since 2012, have been looking for purity. It's been a purity test. Can you check all the boxes that I think you need to check to be a conservative and get my backing? It's a Chinese food menu, guys. You got to pick a little from column A, a little from column B, and a little from column C and put it all together. You're not going to find purity in any election. It's just not going to happen. One of my friends here in Brooklyn, Mike Tracy, I always quote him when I say this. In 2015, that's the year to fall in love with your candidate. But when 2016 comes around, that's when you fall in line behind the candidate.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way to put it. This is going to segue into our next question because this is the one that I want to make sure I ask you and we hear a little bit about from your wonk side. We've been burned. I mean, I think we all feel like after, some of the fiascos in the House and, after we all got out and voted, we all worked really hard. We got these guys in power in Congress, and now we feel like we've been burned by them. So I wanted to ask you about the Mark Meadows, the request to vacate or motion to vacate the speaker's chair. What's going to happen next? What are the steps? What are the congressional steps behind that? What's the rules of order behind that? How is that going to work?
I think I was just called a nerd, but that's okay. That's cool. No,
policy wonk and,
I know. It's okay. So here's what this is pure. In my opinion, this is a ceremonial filing that was done by Mark Meadows. There's no real teeth behind it, no matter how many sponsors or co-sponsors there may be, because this is one of those procedures that goes to the Rules Committee of the House. And the Rules Committee is filled with, guess what? The biggest backers of John Boehner that there is.
Yeah.
So this will never get out of committee. This will never see the light of day. In fact, John Boehner basically said at his press conference that this will never see the light of day. It will never get out of committee. So when he says that and in such a definitive term, you got to know that the fix is already in.
Right. But it may affect his campaign because those guys have to run every 2 years.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. John Boehner is going nowhere until the 2016 election when hopefully someone like J.D. Winteregg can beat him. I'm not a Boehner fan, but let's keep it real for 1 second. This is not a great move by Mark Meadows. He lost a faux leadership race early on in 2015 when the speaker's race was basically already decided in caucus that was going to be Boehner. Him and 24 other upstarts, including Louis Gohmert, and a lot of Tea Party favorites, decided to stump and grandstand a little bit to say that they were running for speaker when they all knew that it was all well and done. Then Mark Meadows voted against Obama trade and got a win. He got a win on that, even though he lost because the bill was lost, but Mark Meadows personally got a win because they tried to retaliate against him again by taking away a subcommittee chair, and there was such outrage within the party that they restored it. So this was a sign that he was getting a little bit of juice back, you know. He got a little bit of backing. Now he pulls this stunt. He doesn't do it by polling his own people to see who's going to back him. And the reason why he did that, because he knows nobody's going to back him, because all these congressmen that were recently elected, they want to keep their job. And who helped them get their job? The leadership. You got to give the leadership a little bit of credit. 2014 was a big year for the House. The House expanded, and the Senate turned over. Players win, but so do coaches. And when the establishment won, they earned the right to lead. We've only allowed them to lead for about 7 months. Yes, they've screwed a lot of things up, and I disagree with a lot of things John Boehner does. But they've earned that right at this point, and unless you beat them in an election, I'm a conservative. You got to beat them in an election. I don't want to beat them through a backdoor procedure that a liberal would take. That's just not the way to handle it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I see your point there. I think it makes a lot of sense, Gene. It's one that I haven't heard. And I always like to hear things I haven't heard.
Imagine if Mark Meadows took the time after winning the subcommittee chair, celebrating that victory, gathering support month by month, creating a PAC, gathering money month by month. Now you got support. Now you got money. You got some money to spread around to some candidates that may need it, that could then support you when you want to run for speaker in the next session. So he could have played this a lot smarter, in my opinion. And all you did now was just give Boehner another win, and you've relegated yourself to the kiddie table again.
Yep, absolutely. So I believe that we're going to have to make that our last question. We've really enjoyed having you on the show. I love policy wonks. So, Gene, I think you're one of my favorites now. Really loved having you. Thanks so much. And plug your show.
Okay, this is what I live for. I love plugging the show. I want to thank everybody for listening to the show. Check out Behind Enemy Lines at www.behindenemylinesradio.us. We broadcast on K98 tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check us out. We had a great show that we taped last night. You're going to love it. And just a quick announcement for everybody. I will be hitting the road to the debates next week in Cleveland. So definitely expect some big things out of the show in the next 2 weeks. We're going to try to get some presidential candidate interviews for you. And check us out, www.behindenemylinesradio.us, and on the Twitters at BEL_radio.
Yep, don't forget the Twitters. All right, thanks so much, Gene. We're going to say good night to our crowd, and Jared has an announcement.
Yeah, just, by the way, thank you, Gene, for coming on. It was great to have you on the show. And on our schedule changed on SHR Media. We were running in the middle of the night. We're now on the daytime rotation, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. And big thanks to Sean at Sackheads Radio. Their site, shrmedia.com. They have some Dr. A, our friend, writes there, and they have some good shows there as well. And we appreciate them running the show. Also, to get replays, if you are on your phone or your tablet, the Stitcher Radio app is a great option, and it's easy to find us. Type in Red Nation Rising, and we'll pop right up. And next week we have Michael Bowen. Yeah, he's a Coalition for Strong America, and his wife Stephanie Struggs won't be with him. He'll be alone, and he's Coalition for Strong America. They did a lot of work on TPA, TPP, and they have an excellent website, and they do a lot of great things, so we're looking forward to having him. Back to you, Lou.
Yep, and so look them up and stay tuned. Coming up is JD and Stacy, and you guys know all about that hilarity, so we'll be listening in, and we hope that you'll be listening in as well. We'll see you right here next week, Thursday night, 8 p.m. on K98 Talk. You guys keep rising in the meantime.
Good night. Thanks.
Good night.
Keep rising.
Back down.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.